great. Okay, let's just go around real quickly and say our names and which neighborhood we're from. Amanda, why don't you start since you're in my top left?
I'm Amanda Johnson, and I'm over close to Russian Jack Park off near Costco.
I'm Cindy Carnes, and I live out in Eagle River Valley on the side of a mountain about 1,100 feet above sea level. Dohnn?
I'm Dohnn.
Kristi.
We live in New Naka Valley, which is near Russian Jack.
Margaret?
I live in Turnagain and by Linary Park and just off the coastal trail. It's the banana belt of Anchorage.
Yeah.
Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I live in Campbell Park near the Lake Otis and Tudor area.
Okay. I got a message to introduce Liz. That's Liz Holmgren, and she is in a session right now. She said that to everyone. Anyway, she's awesome. She lives in Rogers Park. Sasha.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. I live down in Dohnn, everyone. So up here in Eagle River with Cindy, interning for her this summer.
Okay, we heard maybe half of that. The internet's pretty bad down at the Woofer House. She's my intern this summer. She's from Soldotna area, and she's living in the Woofer House down by the garden where the bears go. So she's being a big help this summer. All right, our first lovely speaker tonight is Amanda, and this is a session all about container gardening.
Okay, let me share my screen here. Is it some text screen?
It says there it comes.
Can you guys see the you guys can see the mini topics of things to tell you guys about related to container gardening. I really enjoy mixing edibles in with my flowers, so for some photos of some sort of non-traditional containers to share here momentarily. Okay. So when I'm thinking about what I want to put in my containers, because I like to kind of have everything. I'm a visual artist, so I like to have things look pretty. I look for different varieties when I'm doing my seed shopping in January and February. I'm looking for varieties that have like a different sort of unique color or something like that. And as far as containers, you want to make sure you're looking for like a variety that's small, like cherry tomatoes, or or small plants like a lettuce is a smaller plant. And in the middle here is a nasturtium, rhubarb, variety of things kind of mixed together. Here's a few others favorites. This one's a little bit bigger container. You can see there's like a dwarf type tomato, a smaller sunflower, and then I've got some annuals. I think there's that. That might be lettuce. I'm not quite sure. This one in the middle here is I put black-eyed Susan that I grew, I believe it was last year, and I don't remember the specific type right offhand. And then the one over on the right, this is my favorite. It's this sort of, I love this sort of blue veined kale, mixed in with a variety of little flowers, petunias, baby's breath. The sweet peas are kind of behind their little hanging basket there. And then I also have, I like to go to like thrift stores or wherever and look for different sort of non-traditional containers. I like baskets in particular. They're, regular pots, like bigger pots, can be expensive. So I find, baskets are different things. I'll show you here in just a second. Well, I have found that there's a couple of cons. The soil dries, kind of degrades over time. But I've got a couple of photos I'll show you here in a minute that where I kind of help keep her. Here's just an air. This, I think, was like a straw purse that I found. You can see the one on the right. It had like this really strong wire structure in the handle, so I can use that one as a hanging basket. Ones like this that are just like the ones on the left, it won't hold this. It won't hold everything once the soil. There's some others as a thing you put in your kitchen and you hang from the ceiling, and you can put fruits and vegetables in, and didn't end up using it that way, so I took it outside and put plants in it. And it's this is one I think I got Fred Meyer maybe, and the one on the right I got from my grandpa's farm. Here's some other thrift store finds. This was with some little containers for like putting silverware in that are smaller, that I'm going to add to it to kind of hang from it. There's this little metal wheelie thing. Thought it looked cute with stuff in it. So I mentioned, the metal can corrode, and I use half-gallon containers, like the black pots that you get with your when you buy a pot, and I slide those down in there so that it keeps the bottom from rusting out. And then over here, this is bags, like the bags, running soil or compost or something. I save those bags because they're stronger than other like plastic liners. And I cut them up and recycle them into little liners. So you can see at the bottom one here, you just want to make sure that and then I tuck them down, and you can't, like you can see here, you can't even tell that it's there. Until you start looking closely. So all I had. Thursday,
Was it just my, is it my
Hang on.
internet connection or was she hard to hear for everybody?
She was a little hard to hear, but you could get the gist from the nice pictures.
Yeah,
Good lady.
Okay. Sorry, it came up saying once or twice saying something about the connection being unstable. So yeah, if they're I think I kind of had the gist of it was on the slides. So hopefully.
yeah. So, I have a question. How do you, when I used to be a flower gardener, hanging basket flower gardener person when I lived in Fairbanks, I used Miracle Grow because that was the easiest thing. But I can't imagine, I would never do that on food. But if you have food mixed in, how are you gonna feed them?
I generally like I mix potting soil and I put a lot of compost in, and then I just use the same fertilizer that I use for vegetables. If sometimes if you want something to bloom more, but I just sort of feed them the same thing. I don't.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah, I've found the compost. I don't actually use a whole lot of fertilizer, just because I put a lot of compost in with my potting soil.
That works.
So that seems to do okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, I just want to comment. I really appreciate Amanda takes the time to make her containers beautiful. As a local food advocate, I think that's very important because we still have condo complexes and apartment complexes in Anchorage who specifically have in the rules that you're not allowed to grow food in your gardens. And I think if we had more examples like Amanda's showing that food can be beautiful, I think that would go a long way towards helping property owners revise how they're thinking about growing food in your yard. That being said, our container garden is straight up nothing but food, and our whole garden is kind of like that. And someday, especially when I go see Elizabeth Holmgren's garden, I think I really need to start incorporating beauty and not be so focused on just food, because the beauty, the flowers bring in pollinators, and Amanda's garden is beautiful to look at, and I appreciate those aesthetics.
Yeah, I loved it.
I do have raised beds too where I put most of my vegetables, so I don't have to grow everything in the containers. But like those there's kales that are gorgeous. Like I have a hard time harvesting them because they're so pretty and with the and with the plants. So
Okay. I think Margaret's next. You ready? You want me to show your pictures, correct?
Yes, if you would, please.
Okay, share screen. I want PowerPoint. Oh, that wasn't the PowerPoint. This is the PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah. So the point of this is that you can use anything for a container. That's a collection of our old hiking boots, a standard wooden container, and then an old aluminum pot that's on our picnic table. Our picnic table is now turned into a flower display. And then Cindy, if you could go to the next one.
Oops.
And this is in my greenhouse. And the point of this is that you can use any size pot for a container, whether it's, Amanda, I hope you see your little metal sunflower in the chives on the left-hand side in the orange clay pot. And then because I am given seeds every year, the cantaloupe is actually in the clay hanging pot. That's an oval pot. It is flowering. I have gotten cantaloupe out of that sort of situation. And then I have rosemary that I put in the greenhouse in the summer, and then those herbs go, into my house or my plant room in the winter. I also have some peppers in the long green pot, kind of behind the cantaloupe. And then in the gray pot on the far right and bottom, I always grow some beans in my greenhouse as well, because sometimes my beans outside don't do that well, and I always want to have beans for fresh eating. And those are purple Romanos, and they really, really like the greenhouse. And then I have, a variety of peppers and eggplant. I grow flowers in with my vegetables because that helps bring pollinators into the greenhouse to pollinate not only the marigolds and Johnny jump ups, but the peppers and so on as well. And then the next photo, number 3, Cindy, we could take a look at this. This is a photo to show the challenges of reusing soils. And on the left-hand side, there are the 2 orange pots that I had outside and had flowers planted in them last year. And I'm making a transition of going from commercial fertilizers like, the Fox Farm organic fertilizers to trying to use all my own worm castings. And so these poor little eggplant in the orange pots on the left got about a tablespoon of worm castings per plant. And that obviously wasn't enough because if you look at the eggplant and the kind of grayish white planter, those are much happier. And then there's eggplant in the gray fabric bag and then the black plastic container as well. And again, this is just to show the variety of containers that you can use. I like the fabric bags for peppers and for eggplant. I have grown tomatoes in them, but I thought the tomatoes actually did better in something that contained more moisture because the fabric bags definitely dry out a little bit faster. But I like them because I can move them really easily. And so that's my story about soil. I'm pretty frugal and I want to reuse everything. But if you reuse your soil, you really have to think about adding more worm castings or more compost to make up for the how the plants have used that material in past years. And the other thing that I'm working on is I grew up on a farm and everything was in rows and everything was spaced very evenly. And I'm trying to move away from that. And so I've been packing plants in containers as well as in my raised beds. And I'm finding that they're doing a lot better. I don't have much weeding to do, which I'm really happy about. And it's pretty. And they produce just as well as when they're the regulation 12 or 18 inches apart. I think they like company.
Me too.
And this final picture is my tomatoes. And I want Dohnn and Kristi to look at the background, which is cementitious material. I did listen to you and put that in the greenhouse and it's warmed it up a lot. And this year I put cement blocks under my tomatoes as well. And they've been really happy because I think, that heated up and has just made the soil a much more even heat than when they were on the wood floor. And again, I'm putting herbs under the tomato plants and there's some flowers mixed in there as well. Things self-seed in my pots. And if there's too many volunteers, I'll pull them out. But I'm pretty much a more the merrier is working really well for me, and it's pulling pollinators in really well. And I like how it looks. My greenhouse is not only a place where I'm growing food, but it's a place where I go read, or, you know, listen to NPR, or, you know, sit on my exercise ball and bounce around. So it's a multi-use spot. So those are my thoughts on container gardening.
Well, I'll have the first question. In the past, I have been known to dump out half of each pot and add new compost or new whatever and mix it all together and put it back in again. But I have not cleaned my pots. And they tell me that that's not a good thing, but I so far haven't. I mean, it's such a big deal to clean pots. I haven't wanted to do that.
So
You
I clean my pots for my seedlings, but I don't clean these. And in the fall, I'll just cut back the top of the plant and leave the roots in the plant, you know, to add more organic material. And then what I've been doing is adding about a cup of worm castings as soon as the soil is thawed, and that's usually about, you know, mid-April, early May, and drenching it. And then when I put the plant in the pot, I add more worm castings. And again, drench them. Excuse me. Then I start watering from the bottom, watering in the saucers. And then when I want, you know, usually every couple weeks, I'll do a drench of compost tea. But other than that, they get watered from the bottom, from the saucers.
Yeah, that's great. Other questions?
You mentioned,
It's beautiful.
oh, sorry. You said something about
Cementitious, cement,
material. Uh-huh.
the gray block in the back of the greenhouse, that's on the north wall. And so I put that material on the north wall, and then on the half walls on the east, on the rest of the lower part of the greenhouse.
Okay.
And that added a tremendous, it evened out the heat.
Mhm.
You know, the greenhouse would get really hot during the day, 90, maybe even 100 degrees, but it wouldn't retain that heat at night. And now it stays about 60 at night.
Okay.
Which I'm really happy with, you know, for
Nice.
this space.
It acts as a thermal battery.
Right. And I put some of the foam insulation, the stiff foam insulation in the airspace behind it.
Thanks.
So what's with the tomatillos and how come they're standing up and not? I heard, Teresa told me the other day, you can't let your tomatillos stand up. They have to sprawl, but you don't, is that not true?
Well, this is the first year I've grown them successfully.
Oh,
So I'm just learning about them. I don't really know a thing about them. I'm watching YouTube videos to learn what to do. And so far they wanted to stand up. They haven't sprawled, but I've seen, you know, examples of them sprawling all over. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm excited because I think I have fruit on it too.
awesome. Yeah, the one summer I did well with tomatillos and I just didn't have time to stake them. And so I let them sprawl. But last year I staked them, I got none. So there you go. I had one more question. Oh, how long does it take you to water every day?
I don't water every day.
Every
When
other day?
well, it depends, just on how hot it is. I have the rain barrel I have a rain barrel in the greenhouse. And so that is this barrel on the left-hand side with the watering cans. Yeah. So we have a gutter system on the outside of the greenhouse that feeds into this. So that blue hose will water the majority of my plants. So I don't have to use a watering can for them.
I see.
And that has helped tremendously. It's really cut down the work.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? I always love seeing everybody else's stuff. That's great. Okay, I'm going to stop my sharing and Dohnn and Kristi can jump in.
All right, so there's a second here. So share screen. Okay, do you have the photos up already?
They're in the photos.
Right here? Or right here?
I don't know.
We've only got a few windows up, so. Okay, well, that's all you have up. So it's gotta be one of these two.
Okay, well, I don't.
So we're gonna share this screen. Oh, that's the Earth box. So you are sharing right now.
Right, can we open all? There we go.
Hopefully you guys can see pictures of our greenhouse. Okay, we're getting nods,
Okay.
So,
Well, I was trying to, I created a new collection that these are supposed to be in.
well, you created this today. It's got 2 photos in it.
Yeah, but they were attached to a bunch of others. All right, well, I guess, so first we'll start out with earth boxes, which are just self-watering containers that we grow our tomatoes in. And they're just 18-gallon tubs with a couple of pieces of French drain material. They're just cut to length to fit in. A piece of PVC pipe. I've just cut some slots in one of the tubes to fit in there. And so those 2 pipes will hold water. We can water from here. So we'll just fill this up with dirt. There'll be a water reservoir underneath. And so for our tomatoes, which are growing in the greenhouse, that get quite large, we're able to still go 4 or 5 days without watering on two tomato plants that are probably, they're 8 feet tall and covered with tomatoes. So
I'd say we go even longer without watering. These are very, very efficient.
and super easy to make. I literally made that demo with some stuff that I had lying in the yard in about 3 minutes.
And we co-plant, you can see if there's pole beans there along with the tomatoes. So that's just a view of kind of
Our row of tomatoes and beans, and then these are some spare peppers that won't fit on the bench. But they're also a good way to show you what we do in most containers to grow vegetables in, is we have 10-inch pots that fit inside a standard, 2 of them fit inside a standard flats that don't have holes in them. And so we're able to just fill the flat with water. And again, go a week or so between waterings. away, so. And we have 48 pots out on the deck that are grown like that. And then I think it's 18 sets in the greenhouse of peppers, so.
And then we could switch to the other screen if you want to show. So you only have 2 photos in that folder.
Okay, well, I don't know where the other one went.
Right, so let me drive and I'll get there. So I'm going to switch to his other photo thingy. Oh, okay, then. All right, so I guess we don't have pictures of our
Well, if we go to photos, we can get it.
photos.
Okay, well, what up? Anybody know where collections is?
Yeah, it's just going to be the same photos we just showed them. Yeah.
Interesting.
The deck.
I can share, I didn't take them off the email, but I can go to my email and get them off there because you sent it to me just in case.
Okay, well, here's our spring deck this spring. And so you can see standard flats, there's starts, we've got some onions that we bought. But this is our planted out.
Wait, I'm only seeing the same photo. Are you guys seeing something else?
Oh, didn't change?
I still see the green pots of tomatoes and beans.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, how's that?
Oh, much better.
So this is our deck and it's protected. We've got that row cover up above. So we can start setting cold hardy things out very early in the season, usually mid-April. This year it was so chilly. This was more like probably mid-May
No, this is actually end of April still.
this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see we've got starts in the small pots and then we've got the bigger pots. And the dealio is when a plant is mature, it gets pulled out of the pot and then we just replace it. So we can get at least two harvests out of each pot in the summer. And then we cycle our soil. So this soil next year will get used in the greenhouse for peppers. And the soil that's currently being used for peppers gets moved out into the yard. And so we just cycle it through. And I don't really fertilize the deck because it doesn't really seem to need it. I mean, these plants get really big really fast. We do fertilize the peppers a little bit in the greenhouse. But yeah, so we'll get multiple plantings from this deck and it'll go all summer. If I do winter boar kale, then I'll be harvesting kale in February from pots on the deck.
And so it just depends, depending on the weather, we'll start those as early as the 1st of April outside under the deck with the row cover and then a plastic sheet over the top of that, because that gives us 10 degrees of protection. And the years that we can start that early, we will be harvesting full heads of Chinese cabbage by Memorial Day.
And so that's south facing, Don?
It's due south facing, yeah. And it's got the railing on the deck is solid, so it blocks the wind. It was meant just as a privacy railing, but it works out really well for us. That it's just high, it's railing height, but it still doesn't block the sun for these. This is a very sophisticated set of shelves. You probably all have had them. It's college shelving. It's 1x12 with cinder blocks. So there's just 2 sets of shelves, one with the cinder blocks laid down and one with the cinder blocks stood up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not very pretty, but it sure makes a lot of food.
It's actually really pretty right now. If I could find the pictures, I'd show you.
Well, I think Cindy said she had some because you sent them.
Yeah, I sent them to.
Okay, I can go find them.
Click stop share.
Let's see. Oh, while we're on it, my whole system is set up. Do you know Jim Lister out at in the valley in Wasilla? He has this grow bucket thing, and he links all his. Oh wait, you can't. I'm not sharing my screen. Just a second, I'll share so you can see this. So, Jim Lister. You can find this all over the internet. It's gone viral pretty much but his invention is this cool thing. But what I don't see, and I didn't take a picture of mine, is we have little garbage cans that are float valves. So they measure the level of the water. Maybe he doesn't need that because he has it all on the same level here. But
No,
that means,
Valve.
what?
I'm sure he has a float valve on it as well. I think it's probably in
Maybe
this.
it's this bucket that has the float valve in it.
Yeah, I think so.
We have a whole bunch because we have different levels in the greenhouse. Okay, let me go see if I can find the email that Dohnn just sent me.
I was going to do that, but it worked out so well to just fill the trays that I never got around to it.
Yeah, I like trays except for I don't like to water. So you sent something to me. Here they are.
So that's a picture of my son planting last year on April 17th. Go to the next one. That's the plants a week later.
When do you start them by seeds?
February, March,
Yeah, March mostly for these, February for the like
celery.
celery and onions, but they're there. So this is still the end of April. This is the 29th of April. And then the last one is the 17th of May.
That's great.
And this is kind of how it looks all the rest of the summer. You know, plants in progress, little ones coming along, and then the big ones that are ready to harvest. And I pull a plant out, I put a plant in.
So these don't go out into the garden ever. You just eat
Nope.
them.
We
Yep.
just eat them.
This is just our early food.
But I see broccoli, don't I?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just harvested for dinner tonight.
And they don't do as well as in the garden, but they do pretty darn well. Like we've got,
And they're ready now.
and they're ready now. Yeah. So, and then of course I use the whole plant, right? I harvest all the leaves. I use the leaves. So yeah, we get a lot of food from the deck.
Right. Yum, yum, yum. Next one. Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Let me see.
It's amazing what you can grow in those 10-inch pots. I mean, we grow, like say, broccoli. We've got cauliflower heads out there right now that are about 2.5, 3 inches in diameter. It's about ready to harvest.
Uh-huh.
I've got carrots in pots. I started a little late. It's about ready.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then we've got, yeah, kale and Chinese cabbage. We do a lot of Chinese cabbage in early greens because it's something that grows so fast.
Right.
It's
So
all,
here's the inside. I just went down and snapped this picture. Well, actually, this was for last time when I was taking pictures of the greenhouse because now my peppers are a lot taller. But you can see the barrels that we have, and all these barrels are filled with water.
You're not sharing
And-
things.
And so the water heats up during the day, and then all the plants are bottom water, just like Donn's stuff.
Cindy, we're still looking at ours.
What?
we're still looking at our picture. We don't see your greenhouse picture.
You don't see mine? Huh. Well, how do I do this? Maybe I have to stop and start again.
There we go.
Okay. So I have 2 barrels up here, barrel here, 2 barrels down here, 55-gallon drums, and we have 3 levels of plants. but I don't have a picture of the float valve for each one. So there's the peppers. The peppers are on the top row. On this side, I don't have a picture of, you can't see them, but I have watermelon. I tried growing muskmelon, Margaret, but I get a lot higher yield with watermelon than muskmelon because it gets so hot in this darn greenhouse. But yeah, those are my containers. I don't wash them. I put them in, and now that I feel good because Margaret said, yeah, that's fine, that I can do that.
Yeah, we don't wash our big ones either, Cindy.
Oh, good. I'm not
I
a
don't
failure
either.
after all. Okay. So, yeah, so what do we, let's just talk openly about containers. Any questions for Dohnn and Kristi? Yeah.
I have a question. So, that was amazing, the season extension that you guys are getting, like starting so early. Is it just a sheet of plastic and south facing wall?
Well,
What-
it's
what-
also, we're selective on what we grow. So
Right.
everything that early is cold hardy. It's things that could survive an early frost if we get it. I think that's key. And then we
Mhm.
can cover, and then we can do an additional sheet of plastic over the row cover.
So the white stuff that you saw is the garden fleece or row cover.
Uh-huh.
That provides 6 degrees of protection. And then if we add a clear plastic sheet over that, which we have hooked up, but we don't keep open except for nights when it might get really cold, we'll take it down 10 more degrees. So then you got 32 degrees can go to 22 degrees and your plants will still not get frosted. But then if you're growing young brassicas, they're super elastic. They'll take 28 degrees on their own. So if you take a 28-degree plant, then you can take that down to 18. So we just make sure that we're not going to have weather below 18, which is most of the time not in April.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
this year we had to wait a little longer because it was so cold at the end of March.
Yeah.
So windy in town, really hard on the plants.
But yeah, I got the ideas for season extension from Elliot Coleman in his book called 4-Season Harvest. He's a market gardener that grows vegetables in Maine. And just for grins, 1 year I think for 7 years actually, he just sold vegetables in Maine, fresh vegetables in Maine from October through May.
Wow. What was the name? It was Elliot Coleman. What was the name of the book?
4-Season Harvest.
4-Season
Harvest.
And I had one more question. You said you were talking about growing Chinese cabbage. Mine always bolts really fast. Is it because of do you think it might be because of the long days? Like I'm trying to grow it in the middle of the summer, maybe?
Yeah, they're spring and fall only up here because the long day just confuses the heck out of them. If we are soon, they're all going to bolt. Some of them are already bolting.
They're, I love Chinese cabbage though. They're huge and they grow so fast. And if we do them early in the season and late in the season, then we're golden. And I've done 3 sowings before, totally successful, and gotten a great harvest without them bolting.
Yeah, if you're going to grow them in midsummer, you probably just want to put them in a really shady spot because I think it's the super long days that really confuse them.
Okay. I might have to try them again later, closer to fall.
You could plant them right now. So.
Anyway, thank you. Cool.
Now's a good time, you think, huh?
Yeah, now's exactly when you want to start.
Fall stuff.
I just started my fall carrots last week. And then, yeah, you can start doing slower, like fall broccoli now. Fall, any of the brassicas other than like Brussels sprouts and storage cabbage, you can start. And then you could probably plant Chinese cabbage up until the end of next month.
Yeah, I just, I'm not connected to the ground where I'm growing myself, although you're in pots either, so that's not a good excuse, but yeah.
We are very protected there, Cindy. One of the reasons we started doing it was originally when we bought the house, we thought, oh, we'll put a we'll put seating out there, and even in March in the sun, it was too hot to sit there, so.
That's great. So what did you figure out that one time? How many pounds of food before Memorial Day?
Oh, I think it's like 320 pounds before Memorial Day, just one
Yeah.
year. Yeah,
That's quite amazing.
it's 18 10-inch pots, 3 rows, so.
What do you guys do what Margaret does and just cut them off and leave the stem, or do you pull out the roots and everything, throw that in the compost?
Well, yeah, so all of the dirt from the deck gets used in the greenhouse. So we rotate our soil because I don't want to grow the same thing in the same soil. So yeah, Dohnn made a little system of pulleys, so it's super easy for me to, their deck's on the second floor of the house. So it's super easy for me to lower buckets of soil down, walk them into the greenhouse, use that for the peppers. Then the old pepper soil comes out of the greenhouse and it goes into the general dirt pile for the yard, or for potatoes. Dohnn likes to grow potatoes in pots, so that's probably where a lot of that soil comes from. Is the
Yeah.
old
And then the root
greenhouse
balls
dirt.
just go in the compost, Cindy.
Yeah. I have several cloth bags cut out of old jeans, and I have not had a winter since to sew them up together again. But I think when I get my old jeans pots made, they're going to be great potato pots. I'm
Cool.
going to try them.
Yeah, we never were able to keep our cloth pots moist enough for potatoes.
Really?
But I have lots of other friends who do them in cloth pots and they're successful. So.
Okay, that's a good info. Julie, you just came in. Do you have any questions or anything?
Sorry, I don't. Sorry, I was late.
Oh, that's fine.
But just the little bit that I saw, is everybody in greenhouses, or are they doing things on actual decks? So like I have a big deck, but no greenhouse.
Yeah, I'll send you Don's photos because they're in my email. But yeah, he's doing all that stuff on the deck until all summer on the deck, right?
Yeah, basically from the end of March, 1st of April, depending on the year, to the end of October, or if you put scale in the pots, we'll just keep harvesting that until it's gone, which will usually be November or December.
And for clarification, what elevation are you?
We're in Unaka Valley, which is like 400 feet, but we're at it's the coldest. It's equal cold to the Campbell Creek Science Center, so it's cold here in the winter.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And where they're putting it on the deck, though, they don't have any wind. They have it blocked with a railing. So for us, Julie's my neighbor, and we have a lot of sporadic wind. Sometimes it comes from the north, sometimes it comes from the south. You just don't know where it's coming from next. So, yeah, it's all interesting.
Without a railing, you could put some sort of wind block on it, like depending on how nice you want it to look. You could just put clear plastic, Cindy, or you could put greenhouse plastic up, or because like the lady in Liz's neighborhood that grows the corn, all she does to grow her corn, she grows it up against her garage, but she surrounds the bed with the corn in it with a silt fence, which is just a 2-foot high black plastic fence to block the wind. It's open to the top, but it blocks the wind going across. And that gives her enough extra heat that she's able to grow corn almost every year in Rogers Park outside.
Yeah.
And not little corn, like 8-foot tall corn.
8-foot tall corn.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, so earth boxes, that's my main thing, earth boxes. If I didn't have earth boxes, all my plants would die because I'm not good at watering. But when I have Sasha, she's my intern, and if I'm going around with her, you notice a lot more when you're watering. So I appreciate I appreciate that too. It's just that I have other things that I want to do. So. And Amanda, you're gonna have to come visit me and teach me beauty.
I have a question about the earth boxes. I've heard of those, but I don't really know, like, so the tubes that you were showing, the black tubes, those sit in the bottom and then so that you just have water in the bottom and that keeps the roots from sitting in the water. Is that how it works? If I understood correctly?
Yes, so they'll have, the soil will go all the way down between them, obviously,
Mhm.
but they'll have water reservoirs that you can fill up to that, whatever those is, 2 inches in diameter. So they'll have 2 inches of water floating in the bottom. There's a little overflow tube rolled out right at the top of those so that the water, so you can't overfill them and drown your plants.
Okay, I've learned so much today.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Aha.
I did a little tutorial on it, like when 1910, a long time ago. And so mine are a lot harder to build than Dohn's, but I can send you that. That's real easy to send. You just have to know that when I cut, I'm still a little worried about plastic in my plants and growing in those tubs. There's a new study that came out. Did you read it from Saskia? She sent it around, and yeah, your plants are taking up more and more plastic, and it's not good. So I'm thinking about that. But anyway, I was concerned about that, so I cut PVC pipe that's used for drinking water, and I cut those all down to a certain height, and then put those as spacers in. And then I cut out the lid and put that on top of there. But I'll send you that whole thing. Uh-oh, we missed that. I just got a text.
I read that's both the pieces of paper that she sent, or both the articles that she sent. Neither of those studies were very good.
You didn't think they were good? I was thinking maybe I should switch to the just 5-gallon buckets to grow my tomatoes in that are good food quality buckets. I don't know. But
Yeah,
of course my greenhouse gets to 130 degrees at the top.
Wow.
So you never know what's happening to my plants. I get good watermelon.
Wow.
So
yeah.
What type of watermelon?
those the little ones,
That you get watermelon.
they're about this big. They're called sugar babies.
The variety. Uh-huh. Do you know
Sugar
the name
babies.
of it? The variety?
Sugar
Oh,
baby.
Cool.
I'll type it. There you go. Okay, we're about out of time. What other food for thoughts or food for plants do we have? Margaret, someday I want to pick your brain more about worms. I've been doing experiments with what my worms eat and how that affects the plants that I'm putting on. So if they eat oatmeal and leaves, those worm castings do better for my perennials than the worm castings that are eating fruit. They do better on my annuals. So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, and I only feed my worms organic vegetables. I don't give them fruit because my husband would have a fit if we had fruit flies in the garage where the worm box is. So that was the bottom line on that one. But I also I'm interested in this aspect because I feel like the worm castings do really well for the initial growth of the plants, but I don't feel like they do as well for the flowering,
Right.
with tomatoes. And so if other people have ideas of some materials to use for that, that we can create. I'm reading a bit, I think it's Nigel Palmer's book about fermenting plant materials and so on. So if some people have some ideas about how to get more phosphorus and potassium for the flowering portion, let me know. I'd really like to know.
Let me tell you about my experiment real quick from last year. I froze all my bananas because I was going to have a banana a day all winter and save the banana peels and freeze them so there wouldn't be fruit flies. And then I put them in the dehydrator and then I dried them and then I powdered them and I put them all in the tomatoes and peppers. They didn't get more flowers, but boy, did they get bushy. It was just like too much nitrogen, but they had lots and lots of roots. I had two, when I pulled them up in the fall, I'm like, look at these roots. Oh. So yeah, but potassium, I'm not sold on potassium anymore. I'm trying to figure out phosphorus too. So.
Margaret,
Anyway,
we use liquid seaweed.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but I'm trying to do Alaskan, unless I go to the ocean and get some seaweed, that, it doesn't help me.
Yeah,
So-
my thought for the seed was to go to the Kincaid Beach, and grab some there.
You could try fermenting comfrey.
Yeah, I'm growing comfrey for the first time this year. And yeah, so I was going to try that as well.
That's a very good idea. I forgot that comfrey had phosphorus.
And I'm also wondering about fermenting the horsetail ferns. Has anybody tried that?
It gives you good hard fingernails, that's for sure.
Okay.
If it's good for fingernails, it's gotta be good for something. Does it have phosphorus in it?
I
They're
don't know.
miners for sure.
Wait, somebody tell me more. I have an overabundance of equisetum. I would love to find a use for it.
Oh,
Yeah.
lots of people wash their hair with that stuff. They claim it's the best thing since sliced bread for hair. But it's nails, hair, anything like that. There's people that make cream out of it.
Okay.
But not eating it.
I don't know if people eat it. I know there's some people that are brave enough to drink the tea. I don't know.
I know my cats like eating it.
Yeah, they have strong toenails to climb the trees then, huh? Okay, I want to honor the time at 7:33 already, but it was very fun visiting with all of you. I very much enjoyed it. All right, 1, 2, 3, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay.